Number one of my class.
Every second, every minute, put your hands up.
The best.
Stand up. Yeah, we give you much more. Much more. It's an ill mind that's still time build and refine. Still getting mine in the 9 at 9. Build and refine, build and refine. Build and refine, still getting mine in the 9 at 9. Build and refine, still getting mine. Geometric, 9 at 9. Sean J, 9 at 9. Stylist Chris, 9 at 9. DJ as 1, 9 at 9. 9 at 9. Don't touch the dial, you heard?
What's up, everybody? DJ Geometrics here, and we're back on this Monday night, 9 p.m. I want to welcome everybody tuning in to the 9 at 9 DJ podcast, the online show with 9 DJs on a roundtable panel discussing today's DJ topics. This show is brought to you by Beat Refinery DJ School at Bach to Rock. Learn how to mix, scratch, and make music by visiting beatrefinery.com. We have school locations nationwide. We're getting into episode number 13 tonight. So we've learned that due to the pandemic, the most prestigious DJ battle in the whole world, the DMC, they'll be doing their whole DJ battle season, everything from eliminations, nationals, and the World Championships, all will be held online for the first time ever starting September 7th, culminating on November 30th, where they will crown the new DMC World Champion. So we have invited some of the best DMC DJ champions in the past decade to this panel tonight, and we'll get their insights on this unprecedented circumstance for the DMC world, as well as other DJ battles out there. But first, let me introduce the rest of my crew, my co-hosts. We got DJ As One.
What up? What up? What's up, guys?
Next up, we have Sean J.
Hey yo.
And finally, I'm gonna pass the microphone off to Stylist Chris. Take it away.
Yes, sir. What's up, fellas? Thank you guys so much for being here with us on this Monday night. We are excited to have some of the most decorated DMC champions, some of the greatest humans that I know on this panel. Some of them I've known since they were barely walking, and they were rolling it up into record stores with big brothers. So with that, we're gonna just start to get them involved in the show. We run them down in alphabetical order. First up, hailing from overseas, UK. He is the 2018 UK champion. Let's give it up for El Statiko.
Hey. Yeah.
Thank you, bro, for being here with us. Appreciate it.
That's all right.
Next up, we have the 2014 U.S. champion and 2014 World Online champion. Let's give it up for DJ I-Dee.
The Thunder and Down Under.
Yes, sir. Next up, he is the 2014 World DMC Supremacy champion. Let's give it up for IFTW.
Raise the roof.
What's up, brother? Thank you for being here.
What up?
Next up, he is the 2018 and 2019 USA champion. Let's give it up for DJ Throdown.
Throdown.
And last
Thank you, as always, for having me on here.
Always a pleasure to hang with you guys.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. And last but certainly not least, he is 2011 through the 2015 Canadian champion, 2015 world champion. Second time on the show now. Let's give it up for DJ Vekked. All right. Well, you guys, we appreciate you so much for being here. Vekked, you were on the show. Throdown, you were on the show. And, of course, we have a champion. You know, we didn't even say it, but, you know, as one, he's also a U.S. champion. So we got to give it up for our brother as one over there. We got several champions here. In our last episode, we had just kind of heard that DMC was going to be filming online, most likely. They hadn't made an official announcement, but since our last episode, we have seen that the show is going all online. There won't be any live battle for the first time, as Gio was saying earlier. And so now that we've seen the format a little bit, we're going to talk about just really what that is all going to look like and entail. But before we do that, let's just kind of chop it up a little bit and let's throw it over to IFTW first. Like, we want to know, how did you get into battling? What was your first battle?
I mean, I was a DJ since like '95. I was just like DJing house, and then I came across the DMC video, the one where David was doing like the head spinning stuff, and I just thought it was interesting. I was always very competitive, and I was like, oh man, you could do this type of stuff. And then my first battle was in 2001. It was the LA DMC regionals. Yeah. Wow. Right out and
guys.
That was a pretty heavy time too.
Yeah, I got murdered, man. I did my prelim, and right after me, Kid Dragon goes on, and I was just like, woo. I got
Quicks
some work
already
to
out
do.
there that year, or
What's up?
was Quicks already out in Cali around that time, or?
I didn't meet Quicks and Dini until 2002.
What up,
But
Ron?
I think they were already there, though.
Okay.
And quick.
And El Statiko, how about you? When did you get into battling, and what was your first battle?
God, I think my first battle was DMC 2013. I think I did the Supremacy category and just really, really underprepared and got sent packing in the first round. But
Paid off. Similar story for everybody, man. You got to start literally at the bottom and realize like how much work you got to do. Yeah, you know, it's funny saying like, yeah. Go ahead.
It didn't help the venue they had. They had like these subs underneath the stage, and I think Image, you was on about this when you was talking with John and Vekked, where like he was saying it was skipping so bad where they had to like they couldn't basically do the rounds, and it was like that's what it was like. This venue was completely notorious for it. But yeah, that was the first battle, and just carried on really.
Had you been playing in other venues like as a regular DJ at that point, or was it like basically battling and then like into this club setting right out of the gate?
Oh, I won't say clubs, like like more like shitty hip hop events where like you get 20 quid for fucking playing or whatever. But no, it was all right. Like I'd say I just went straight into battling really, and then got into playing out after that.
Nice. Throdown, what about you? You're a local boy here to the DMV area. What was your first battle?
Well, so I'm from up here in like DC, Northern Virginia, but I went to school at VCU in Richmond, so I lived there for 5 years, and that's where I kind of like cut my teeth, probably coming up the way that Jordan did. You know, Jordan's like a huge hip-hop head, and I love that. You could see it in his sets. He's always like repping like proper head nod, boom bap shit. And but I came up DJing for rap groups. That's like how I got into DJing. You know, I didn't even care about mixing or like party rocking. Like I just wanted, I fell in love with scratching because I was a musician growing up, and you know, I would like DJ college parties, and I basically just play instrumentals for 4 hours and just like scratch endlessly, and my boys would be like, yo, this sounds so dope, dog, but like, you know, what are you doing? You got to make the girls dance. I'm like, nah, I'm not about that. And
I like playing for the dudes up against the wall.
I guess. I don't know. It took electronic music to really show me like what mixing and you know, building sets is all about, you know, phrasing and all that good stuff. And I mean, but I used to do battles around Richmond, you know, kind of like what Jordan was talking about, that, you know, they weren't like super epic battles. They were just sort of like local joints, and I won a few, but you know, there wasn't like a whole lot of crazy competition like you get in a DMC arena. But you know, I grew up on DMC much like all of us did here, I'm sure. And you know, the thought of entering one was kind of scary, and I guess I never got around to it. And then I guess around in 2012, that was my first DMC. And you know, I kind of had this thought, like, you know what, like the DJ landscape is changing so much so quickly. Like, for all I know, DMC might not even be around for too much longer. So if I really, you know, pledge my allegiance to this culture and this art form, I might as well at least enter. Just
pledge allegiance to the hip hop.
Yeah, there you go. And so I entered, and you know, this is, you know, the first few battles I ever did were on vinyl, but as Serato, you know, was allowed in DMC, like that, it's such a game changer. You know what I mean? Like you can use anything. Like you're not limited to just whatever records you happen to be able to find in the store. Like if you could pull stuff off of YouTube, or you can like pull stuff out of your CD collection that never got pressed to vinyl, or you could record yourself or whatever. So I was like, I need to make like the illest routine I could possibly make from the ground up. And I spent so much time working on this routine. I kind of ran out of time. Like the battle, you know, just came up real quick, and I was up the whole night before, just like racing to edit stuff together. And I finished it like a couple hours before the battle. I didn't even have a chance to like actually run through the 6 minute, not once. And so I go to this DMC regional in DC, you know, Christy Z, like I saw her on Scratch the Movie when I was in college, and I was like, wait, hold up. So the person that is responsible for holding up the institution of turntablism in America is a woman? Yo, I gotta meet this chick. She's gotta be the baddest chick on the face of the earth. Like I was so starstruck because I like always wanted to meet this lady. And so I'm in this battle, like I'm delirious because I hadn't slept yet, and like super nervous. The room is packed full of my homies that came out to support. And it was like a nightmare because I'm on this stage. I didn't have like a Rain 56 or anything like that. I just had a Serato box. So I had to like plug that into the mixer. I didn't even know how to use the 57. I never used one of those before, and like it didn't work for whatever reason. And Christy Z is on this stage like screaming at me in front of a whole room full of my people, and
putting the pressure.
You need to be ready next time you come
putting
up.
That pressure on, man.
It was like mortifying, and I totally like completely sucked. Like I slopped up my 2 minute, didn't make it to the finals, and I just like stormed out of there because I was so stressed out. And like that like hurt. That was like traumatizing, you know. But ever since then, like
so this was in the digital age.
Yeah, so this was 2012, and
first
you know,
wow.
So I didn't even get to do the 6 minute that I worked so hard on. So I had it like locked and loaded for the next year, and I like, you know, I think Art, you beat me that year, but I got second, and you know, so that
all makes me feel really old.
Well, you are.
Good to know. It's like, man, you killed it, bro. You kept me on my toes those years. As soon as you hit the scene in DC, you kept me on my fucking toes, man. And when you beat me, I had to, you know, I think naturally, you know, it's like, damn, I can't believe it. But like, I got over it real quick, man. And I was like, dude, that guy put in the work. Like, well, he saw a bar and he said, I'm gonna do it. I got to jump over it, and you did it. So
you've always been my muse, you know, locally. Like I always tell people, I'm like, if I ever get my act together, I can only hope to have it like As One got it, because he's always prepared. You know, he doesn't like drink or anything before the battle. He just like goes there like with the business mindset, and like
all right.
Since when?
Yeah, room YouTube.
Since when, yo?
Seek and destroy, man. You just got to go.
It was really special to me when I finally beat your ass in the competition. I was like, yes. And then, so when we went to London together, like that was really dope. So I was like, yo, what are the odds that out of all the, you know, 200 something people in America that competed, you know, the two guys repping for the U.S. are coming from the same area.
Same area, from the same school, and like it was a special moment, man. I really think it was. I'm glad we got to spend it together. We were in the same Airbnb and everything. Our girls, like, it was cool, man. It was.
Just to finish that thought, now me and Christy Z are good friends, and it like means a lot to me because I looked up to her my whole life, and now, you know, I could text her and, like, you know, we bust balls and all that.
Don't worry, man. We'll send this episode.
Love you, Christy.
Yeah. We'll make sure to highlight all the things that you misquote.
Like you usually do.
But if anybody wants to feel old, I can feel old now when I talk about Isaac. And when I-Dee, first time he was, how old were you at your first battle?
I was about 14 at the time.
Yeah,
when I first battle to go watch.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, was that the year that you did the Venus? Was that in that routine?
No, that was a few years later. But I didn't enter until the following year when I was 15.
Bananarama routine was fire.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So what was your official first battle?
My official first battle was 2002 DMC DC. And I will say, like, Chris, followed by Gio. Well, Chris first, I would say. Chris was friends with my older brother who got me into DJing, and Chris is probably one of the few people in the industry that has seen me throughout my whole entire DJ career, followed by Gio. I actually met Gio right after 9/11. But yeah, I started
You're
DJing.
my coworker.
I started DJing in '97. My first exposure, my brother had a bootleg copy, VHS copy of the '94 U.S. Finals, and that was the only, you know, exposure to turntablism that I ever had. And it was Rada, DJ Disc, Babu, Active. Even like Active's mistakes in that battle, like, still like helped me out. Like, so I learned so much from that tape, and then followed. I think the next one I saw was probably '98 U.S. Finals, which is the holy grail of U.S. Finals. But yeah, I probably spent the first 3 to 4 years just kind of studying and kind of learning, and then I think when I went to go see my first DMC 2001, Craze and the Scratch Perverts were on the judging panel, and I think that year, especially Gio will remember, Gio and Chris, that was the last regional of the year. So everyone who didn't make U.S. Finals, everyone was just basically scrambling to okay, we got to make it. So it ended up feeling like, not only with the crazy panel showcase-wise of Scratch Perverts and Craze, but you had like everyone in the top 10 was just nasty. You had S Hands, you had Gambit, you had Quicks, you had Unknown, who God, there's so many people, but Mysterio was it Mysterio in that one?
2001, you said?
Yeah, I can't remember. But anyways, it was a legendary battle. Went to that battle, and I was like, okay, I had one turntable and a mixer at the time, even though my brother had decks, but I was still trying to get my own. I was just using his at the same time. But then the following year, I was like 2002 DMC. This is what I want to do. So yeah, 2002 was the first year I entered. My goal was to make top 10. Made top 10, and yeah, I was cool with that.
I feel like you got fourth, right? I can't remember exactly what you got.
That year, I don't know. The year I made top 10, Inferno won the regional. Bree came in second, and Esquire I think came in third. And
no, it was a good battle. I remember.
That was Bree's first exposure to like the scene, and that was another thing. Bree came out roaring too, which I loved. So.
Yeah, and speaking of roaring, I know we talked about last time on the last episode, Vekked, you kind of came out roaring with your battle career, and I just, from the little I know of you, it seems like everything you just decide to do, you just go to the top, whether it's playing some video games or playing poker. It's just like, whatever you set your mind to, you've got this innate ability to just master it. So when was your official first battle?
My official first battle. Well, firstly, I don't know. It doesn't actually feel like what you said. It seems like it from the outside, but yeah, my first battle, like, I basically, like, I won the Canadian final in 2011, but that was like the first time I ever even placed at a battle. And I did like WSTC, this online battle.
Yes. It was all audio. It was audio. Upload the audio.
In 2006.
I-Dee, myself, and you were in that battle.
Yeah, that was my first actual battle, and that was like I was basically like 2 years in to DJing and stuff, and then I did a DMC regional that year, and I got booed. Like, actually, like, somebody yelled at me. They called me a biter because I used like that year. Audio Side by iMerge was like super popular, and like somebody
super popular.
Still dope.
Somebody used the sample I used like in the routine before mine, and like I was like I must have been, I think I was 18, like I was still like in high school, and I went to this battle, and I did, it was my first battle experience, and someone was like, "You biter!" Like, but as soon as I dropped that sample, and it shook me for the whole battle. I tried another regional in 2007, and like still didn't do good, but didn't get booed. But then like it was that battle when when the Canadian champs M-Rock came up to me after, basically, and he I don't know, he kind of like gave me this like pep talk type of thing. He's like, "Yo, like your scratching is like pretty good and stuff, but like, you still need to like refine your stuff." So like he basically told me to like not battle for a few years and like get better. And he told me the story about like I don't know if it's true or what, but he basically talked about, like, he said like iMerge had been like DJing and stuff for a long time before he even entered a battle, and then he entered ITF scratch category and like won. He basically like waited until he was ready and then came back, and he basically said that. And then I didn't battle in 2008, 9, or 10, and then 2011. I remember like when I entered the regional in 2011, I was like, I hope that I make like top 5 or something. And then like I won that battle, and then I won the nationals, and then my first world final was Supremacy, and I won that. But like I didn't know that I was going to. Like I was like, I hope I get top 5 in Hamilton. But yeah. And that's the rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, you had an insane run, man. Most of you guys, I feel like I've seen battle for a good part of your battle careers, at least, and like each one of you just have like a distinct style, and like when you were really battling, it's like all kind of the at least the hip hop elements, the culture has these certain, whether you're a b-boy or graffiti writer, MC, there's like these little pockets where you just kind of are flowing through your craft so easily. And, definitely something we've seen from all of you guys. So big respects. Even our boy Geometrics there, even though he's being quiet.
Here's one thing I can connect the dots from everything that you guys just said. Everybody had a different year. They entered, different reasons why, but there was always one underlining thing. They went to the battle and they saw these dudes that were doing it at a certain level, and it was a little frightening, and to hear guys that I-Dee had to go up against, and you got, even myself, like me coming up, I was 19, 20 when I first met I-Dee. I remember I went to his house. He opens the door, and there's a 14-year-old kid who's taller than me. And then he gets on the tables, and he's crushing it. I was like, dude, what am I doing? But I came up under guys like Mike Bree, I-Dee, Geometrics, Inferno, and and you need to have, you know, I guess what I'm saying is a lot of guys nowadays are afraid to just enter because for whatever reason. But I got to be honest, like none of us would be where we were at if we didn't just jump into the pool.
Well, let's talk about that. So let's look at DMC right now. They've released, you know, everything. They're saying they're gonna have the whole battle season online. You know, starting September 7th. They're gonna start doing the practice room, and then September 16th, I believe, is when each country will be allowed to. You'll be able to submit your elimination routine. But do you guys think that's gonna you know, now that we don't have the crowd element, you know, that's what's most of the time, like a lot of DJs, you know, try and battle in DMC, they're very intimidated because of the crowd as well, and they don't want to, you know, they don't want to fuck up like in front of like all these people. But do you guys think now that, like, especially, you know, with the online aspect, is it going to be like more DJs coming out of the woodworks to start competing?
I mean, have you guys been to battles in the last couple of years? Not that many people go to them.
That's a dude, and that's a thing. You know, that's a thing. You can even watch video footage. You know, you watch like the late '90s, the '90s, the early 2000s battle footage, and you can tell that there was a different energy in those rooms. Like 100%, those people were fans of whatever, or at least of live shows or turntablism. Who really knows? But the energy was there. You know.
One thing I'll say, I hope this podcast will help people. I think if we can leave this episode with an understanding of, or allow the other DJs to realize the pros and cons of what they're doing within this online format. Using Vekked as an example, he is the perfect DJ right about now that if you show him to someone who isn't a DJ, they're like, wow, that's cool, that's dope. The sonic, or, you know, it's very musical and this and that, you know. And so I think we do have to go back to basics in a sense for everyone, you know, who's entering, you know, and hopefully maybe that's what will happen with the practice room, given that, you know, constructive feedback. But whether it be live or whether it be online, we need to stop catering to other DJs. And like Art was saying, with that late 90s, early 2000s footage, non-DJs could relate to that footage, you know, versus now it's probably getting a little too technical, you know, and we more than ever, like, even thinking of the versus stuff with, you know, DMX, Snoop Dogg, and like, we have to look at it outside of this whole framework of just musicality over everything. Musicality. And I think that's going to be the deciding factor, I think, with a lot of things. And then once everyone's on that level, then we can start looking at the technical aspect and so on.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful. Actually, I'm really glad you mentioned that in the context of the practice room, because what we're learning from this latest release about the format and the practice room opening up basically a week and a couple days before the first submissions, I'm hoping that DJs who've never entered DMC are going to say, all right, well, this is my opportunity to get feedback from my peers, as opposed to, I don't want anybody to bite my routine, and so I'm just not going to show up in the practice room, because all of the video cut. No, nice.
You can keep going.
Yeah, just the idea that we as a DJ community, those bonds are really built by like cutting our teeth together, and to really just tie in what I-Dee was saying. That's the thing about the musicality. We all share that perspective, and hopefully DJs aren't going to be intimidated and jump into the practice room, so we can share that and exchange those ideas.
Yeah, totally. Like I've been like for over a year now, I've done this like little series of battles called the Battle for Noob Supremacy online, and basically the whole
Plug it.
Yeah, there's one going on. The finals is tomorrow for the freestyle scratch edition of it, but this is the 5th one I've done, and basically like the whole point of it, like it's twofold. But
could a guy like myself enter your battle?
No.
Damn. Tell us why.
There's a
Who's
rule.
this battle for?
There's a rule that says if you've ever won a national title,
And your name is as one?
Or competed at a Worlds, like, because some guys just go straight to the Worlds, like for IDA or something. If you have ever done that, then you're not allowed in the battle, because like the point is supposed to be like a stepping stone, because I remember like when I started battling, like as some of you guys have said too, like jumping into DMC is kind of intimidating, because you're just like, it's like, or like any major battle, like it's like in WSTC, it's like Uncut was in the first battle.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Like, no, it's just like you didn't feel like you even had a chance. Yeah, so I want to make something that was sort of like, one, it was a bit of a stepping stone, but two, it's like the main point of it is feedback. Like I judge it live, like every final I judge live, and I talk about why I'm picking each person, and when I basically do it and I whittle it down, so I keep cutting people as it goes, and I tell them like why they're cut and what they can work on and stuff, because like I remember my first, if it wasn't for M-Rock coming to me after my my third battle or something, like the first few I didn't really know what to do. Like you enter the battle, you lose, you know you're not good enough to win, but you don't know what to do or how to get better or anything, right?
Yeah.
So, and it goes to like musicality, like what I-Dee was saying, like in a lot of like, you know, in this like context, I'm like in like I've done the scratch battle, and in both scratch battles I did in the final, in the top 3, somebody was like who was a good technical scratcher was doing something that was out of key, like melodically, and they're scratching a melody like a sax or something, and it's not in key, and I get to tell them like, this is why you're getting cut, because you can't do that. And like anybody who's not a DJ is going to hear an out of key melody, and it doesn't sound good, you know. But if without that sort of like platform, some people go like years and no one's ever told them that, you know. They just keep entering the battle and keep making these mistakes, you know,
the same mistakes. Yeah,
exactly.
That's a beautiful thing, man.
Well, you know, real quick about that, like nowadays it's like, I think like for the scene there's a lack of like crews. If you guys know that, like
what's
you know,
up
like me coming up with the troopers, you know, with Isaac and I-Dee and Inferno, you know, that made us all like better. You know, I'm not same with like, you know, Image with your crew. You know, I'm sure you know you guys. You know.
Actually, I didn't get into the crew until way after, but I know what you're talking about. Like just the camaraderie of like having like people to practice with or show certain.
But do you guys see that kind of camaraderie nowadays?
Oh, yeah. Well, with like me and Brace, like are like the fresher thens. Like if it wasn't for teaming up with Brace, I would be one of the people who didn't know like if I was out of key and stuff like that. It's because like Brace has like a crazy ear. Like he's like he basically he won like the Canadian Juno or like it's like the Grammy basically for best instrumental album one year, and like he's like a musician, like not just like a DJ idiot, you know. And no offense to DJ
Doofus.
I'm a DJ idiot. But like he basically like just like we'd be working on stuff, and it was just him like over and over being like, no, that's out of key, and then he'd fix it, and then he's like, okay, that's better, and then me being like hearing like the difference and being like, oh, that's what I actually wanted to do, but I didn't know how to do it, or like I didn't know why it sounded messed up, you know. But like it's like being just, you know, even though it's just us two, like that, me having a crew to that extent helped me so much. Like my DMC winning routine, online routine, there's so much about it that was like there's like 3 main parts in it that were the only way they work is if they're harmonically in key with what I'm doing, and that wouldn't have existed if I didn't get in a crew and learn that stuff and like develop my ear from working with somebody who was better than me.
I'll say too, like when I think of this generation's crews, I think of K-Swizz and Reyna. You know, like two young guys.
Super Beast.
Yeah, that. And so when you see these kids that are literally light years ahead of everyone else, you have these grown men who are basically like, wow, that's cool, but what are y'all doing, you know? So those kids are the ones that have kind of
shots fired.
You know,
it's true though.
Like, I wouldn't want to come back now. You know, like when I see them, it's like I don't want to come back. You know, so I can see how some of these guys are just like, yeah, probably turned off. But then at the same time, these kids have the clutch factor. You know, we're looking at Dallas Mavericks basketball. Luka, this dude has the clutch factor.
Luka is crazy.
You know, and so some of these kids, some of these dudes have it, and I just don't have it. You know, and so that's with the cool thing with DJ battling is,
balls, by the way,
it filters through the people who are really hardcore passionate about it, whether it be winning or whether it be, you know what, I just want to get together and make something cool, make something dope. Let me know what you think. I don't want to be surrounded by yes men. Just give me some constructive feedback.
So do you guys think the practice room feature on DMC site, is that going to help? I
guess if I could ask a question, I've been out of the loop with the whole battling thing. What is this practice room you talking about?
From
how are they doing this?
7th to the 16th, they're opening up the site where they're doing a practice room. You can basically upload a
this is DMC. We're talking
1 minute routine, and it doesn't count for anything. It's just like you upload it, and maybe. And the beauty of it is, I don't know. The beauty of it is you can get comment. You know, people can comment on it, and sort of like now I'm thinking it's like maybe some of these DJs can upload their routines on there just to get input, where they necessarily don't have that crew help or or being able to find that peer to help them out. So I'm guessing I'm asking, it's like, is that going to be a good feature to where everybody's going to use it, like especially the new competitors, and is that going to work?
It sounds like the people that is going to directly benefit the most are the folks that are getting into DMC maybe for the first time or the second time or whatever. The people that, like me and Art at the school, we get plenty of students, over the years that are like, oh, I'm thinking about entering my first competition, but I'm scared. Like, I don't know what to do. You know what? I feel like backing out. And we're like, nah, homie, like, just do it. Like, literally the best thing.
Why else are you practicing? Why else are you coming here to practice with us? It's like,
instead of coming up with excuses week after week.
Yeah, it's to utilize the skills you're learning.
When you enter and you just close your eyes and you dive in and hope that it'll be all right when you come out the other end, and you realize, like, you go through the pressure and the anxiety and you do your thing on stage, regardless of how it went, once it's over, you're like, oh, that really wasn't so bad. And you're like invigorated because you finally like did it. And people are like, yo, that was dope. I really like you did this, you could work on this, whatever. You're surrounded by your peers. They're all there for the same reason. We're coming out to support, a culture and a craft that we believe in. And you find the camaraderie that you guys are talking about that maybe you never had before from outside the battle circuit. You got to just go and do it. And so maybe, I don't know about you, but if I was going to enter DMC online in 4 weeks, like, I wouldn't be airing out any of my material. You got to keep that secret. Like, it's like Game of Thrones, like,
this is kind of what we're talking about. So, like, DMC is notorious, or the style of the DMC battle is notorious for that old school mentality of hip hop, where it's like, cover my records, cover the labels. I don't want you to know what records are, what routines, and all that. How has that in the internet age playing for us as DMC dudes? Is it helping us? Is it hurting us? Like, it's really just a DMC style mentality, I'm realizing. In maybe I don't know, maybe in Red Bull 2 people aren't showing everything, but at the end of the day, it's like, only the DMC doesn't allow you to film at a live battle. We're still they're still doing that.
Here,
change that now.
That's here in the US.
That's just the US.
What'd you say, Statiko?
I said they've changed that of the world since 2018. I know prior to that they would kick you out if you were filming.
Right. So now you're allowed to at the Worlds.
Yeah.
Because they're live streaming it anyway. So they don't care anymore.
Right.
But the reason, like, Christy was always so protective of people, absolutely under no circumstances filming at a battle that is at a level prior to the Worlds, is because, God forbid, some careless, event, spectator films it, posts it online. All of a sudden, all the competitors that you might be facing if you advance, they just seen your stuff that you spent a lot of time putting together.
And it makes it not an even playing field.
Yeah. So what I'm curious about,
Renner's routine.
I was hoping we were going to talk about this at some point, like the fact that this DMC battle has a 4-minute routine, right? Like for the national. That's cool. That of course we're all like, whew, thank God. Wait a minute, what's the catch? I'm wondering if, let's say you go to nationals and you win, your video was available for all the eyeballs on the planet. So if you make it to like worlds, do you have to come up with even more material because people already saw what you did?
But wasn't that how it was before though? Like you would have a US set and then you would take little pieces of that and then create another set for worlds.
But it's different from like now, because like everybody sees it like right away. It's like instant, it's online. It's then.
But let's say
you gotta wait for either the YouTube video to be uploaded or the DVD back then. What?
I think it comes down to strategy, and it comes down to like however you want to go about it. You can go about it. You could play possum, and then roll the dice and then hope that, okay, I'm just going to come with fire in that 4-minute or 6-minute.
But regardless, the World Finals, it's still the same. It's a 6-minute routine.
Still 6 minutes, yeah.
You still have the 2-minute elimination.
How far apart is the World Finals from that national?
2 months or a month and a half or something?
September, was it?
Yeah, I know.
So I can give you guys the rundown really quickly.
It's not enough time.
Really quickly, you have to upload. You can start uploading your national championship video on September 16th, and that's a 2-minute elimination, from which those will all be judged to get the top 12, and then unless another country, if a country doesn't have,
let's not say like how many DJs are going to be in the final, because we don't know that.
True. And then, but there are no regionals and no rounds from Christy. She told me, and that we could say that this is it. Like this year, you gotta, if the U.S. has 50 people that want to be in the U.S. final, you gotta upload 1 2-minute routine, no matter who you are. And there isn't any like, if you didn't make it this round, there's a next round of it. It's cut right to that.
One elimination round.
Elimination.
How many are they looking for?
One prelim. Oh.
We don't know. We don't know.
No. Christy did say for the U.S. there will be 12. Can't speak on any other country, but in the U.S. there will be 12.
Going back to how it was like 15, 20 years ago when the quality of talent was super, super high. That's how many people were showing up to the regionals. 40.
Oh yeah, there was one year where we had 56.
There's like 50. I battled that year. That was my first year like battling, 2002 at Nations. I walked in and it was a hot summer. We were sweaty and there was a rack of dudes in there ready to battle, and I had to watch all these dudes do elims, and I was like, oh my God, like
it was crazy.
Whatever I had, I was like, oh boy.
Dude, 2003 LA regionals, I think we had like 63 in the prelims.
No.
Everybody because it was the last one too. So
yeah, when it's one of
I've never heard of that many fucking interregional, but I believe it because DC we had 56.
And
that was the time.
Many years for like there was like a whole streak of like where we have at least 30 DJs every single year,
Well, and that goes back to what you guys were talking about earlier. Just from being a promoter of DMC competitions for as many years as I have, I've watched the way that all the elements of hip hop were more popular for their battle side of their elements around that time. The MC battles were crazy, like the b-boy battles were crazy. Mm-hmm. There was a certain remember the shoe battles? Dudes there was such a hype to the shoe battles. Guys were going in with 16 pairs of sneakers, going through these gauntlets of battling people on shoes. The fashion of hip hop everything was on a battle mentality for a while, and not just the competitors, but people that were actually consuming that art. That's why you could go to these DJ battles, and it wouldn't just be a bunch of, like, at least in the DC ones, there wouldn't just be a bunch of dudes. It would be lots of girls. Like people were into the culture, and you were like, wow, this is incredible. You have, you know, we one of ours, we had, you know, Rock Raider and High and Mighty do the showcases. We would always plug in a hip hop band with the showcases, because the culture was so still connected in that sense, and you would see a lot more of that excitement. And then, you know, props to DMC for being able to last through all this, because it was definitely the turns and the downs, and like also props to any DJ that's ever stepped foot on a stage to battle. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you got last place. There's plenty of DJs that make a career DJing that would never attempt to do any of that. And goes back to what Vekked was saying before that I thought was poignant, with where it's like, if you don't win, then where do you fall and all that? And where you fall is you fall in love with the culture and the art of actually performing.
Wow.
Being
Put that on a t-shirt.
in it.
Man, you're the man. Once again, Stylist Chris for president, man. Like, oh.
Well, I mean, it's definitely, you know, I mean, when I grew up battling, b-boying and MCing were the two parts of the hip hop art that I was comfortable battling in. I was never comfortable enough to battle in DJing, probably because I grew up with all you guys. Like, I already know that's just a waste of my time with these two. It's like, I'm going to get smushed.
Like kids like I-Dee around.
Yeah, exactly. But even in an MC battle, even if you know you're not going to win, when you just love to do what you do, it's not always about the winning. It's about showcasing your love of, and that's the expression of it, is the love of it. And so are we going to see that again? Are we going to see that love come back through this kind of new format, even if it's just temporary in this, of like guys being like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's new. I think it's the same way with how live streaming has reinvigorated a lot of DJs that were like kind of a little, you know, stagnant on it, and like, whoa, now there's all this new interaction and things I'm learning and going on. It's reinvigorated some of the guys. So, you know, what are you guys' thoughts on the world of limbs and how they're getting there with this format?
I think that the 4 minute is basically, it removes a factor, but it adds a factor. It adds a question mark, because we've never seen a 4 minute, like every national leads is led up to that point. But there's the battle mentality of stringing together a bunch of 2 minute routines to come up with a 6 minute, right? So as opposed to having an opportunity to put your 2 minute out there in one city, and then if you don't make the finals, then you just drive 12 hours, whatever, to another city and do the same 2 minute or a different 2 minute and just try your chances. Now you get 1 2 minute video, is my understanding of what the criteria is. So
everybody's just gonna like do their best. Like,
there's gonna be some sick 2 minutes.
Best
it forces the bar to get raised.
And the other thing too is what I think for the new DJs that are coming up, entering, what people need to understand is, even if this format, let's just say rewind back to like a month and a half ago when we didn't know what was happening with the DMC, if I was competing or whatever, I'm under the assumption that, okay, I would have spent the previous 10 to 11 months prepping for that 6 minute, you know? So I think a 6 minute doesn't happen within just a couple months. It is a year-long process, you know? So now one would assume that the heavy hitters that are entering would have a good solid 6 minute, which you can kind of break down into that 2, 4, 6, right? Because there's going to be a lot of strength in that. One thing for me, Image was there when we were at the World Finals in 2014. I went in, I don't know, maybe I just wasn't doing my research, or I just had this old mentality. I was like, okay, elims is 3 minutes, you know, because I've just been studying older footage and blah, blah, blah. And then I get there, and, you know, Image, and because, you know, I'm helping him with Supremacy, he's helping me with the 6 minute. And it's like, oh, okay, elims is 2 minutes. And I'm like, oh.
They changed it that year.
Yeah,
just your luck.
I ran in London, and it's like, okay, well, now you got to do a 2 minute set, you know? So now I got 24 to 48 hours, I think it was, roughly, where because I'm going in, I'm like, okay, I'm heavy on the juggling tip, but, you know, I got some power cuts, but what do I do? What you know, now I'm just like, so it's, you know, spur of the moment situations like that show or test my, character and who I am as a DJ to, do I really want this? Do I really want to, dig deep? And even rewind to just a few weeks prior that, I had this cool 6 minute, and then I'm sitting with Geo and Inferno and Oz, and I think it was Quicks was there prior too, and they're just like, nah, go and do, I can't remember what y'all said, but they were just like, just kind of just ripped it apart weeks beforehand. Now, right then and there, I could be like, well, guys, don't you understand that it's like the World Finals is in a couple weeks? Or I could suck it up and take that constructive feedback and man up, and just be like, you know what? I need to do this for them. I want to do this for me. And then whatever muscle memory, whatever, wake up at 8 a.m. till
VA, man, 2 up, 2 down.
Like, I'm just going to get it done. No excuses, and so that's the feedback, not just from Image, but like even just from my crew that I, appreciate. And I think stories like this, everyone has them. And I think these up and comers really need to understand that, there's so much that you can learn from other people. It just comes down to checking your ego at the door, pride aside, and just like, let's just get it done.
So the big advice is for anybody that's coming into like the new DMC battle, man, just put something up on practice room and just get some feedback right there and then. Right?
Something I-Dee said there that's super relatable is like 2015 before the DMC online final, like probably like I don't even know, 2 months out or 6 weeks out or something. I had like my basically my 2015 set that people have seen, except I didn't have the Sega routine, and I had my full clip beat juggle instead. And I sent it to Dopey, and Dopey basically was like, yeah, I don't think like that's good enough. Like, and the full clip isn't, it's cool, but the itself is sort of like used and stuff. And I was like, I know, like I like the patterns, but I wish I could find another track. And basically I had like 8 weeks, and like on top of that, like this is a modern battling thing, but with Sega, like I actually produced the beat as well, right?
Yes.
So I had to produce the beats from scratch and like make the routine. It was just like literally, I think at that point, like the only thing I had that like the Sega like tone thing on a keyboard, and I had like a drum beat, and it was just like not even a routine. It was just a random thing I was playing with. But I had 2 months, and I was like, this is the only thing that has some sort of potential. And I finished it like 2 weeks before the final, but it's like, yeah, like it's basically like I right until I sent it to Dopey, and D-Scratch too, I think said something similar, and it's basically I was like, oh, my routine's done, I'm good and stuff, and then they give me like that dreaded feedback that you never want to hear, where you're like you think you're done for making your routine, and it's just like reps time, and they're like, nah, it's like it's not there yet, and then you're just like, oh my god, like now that's the worst feedback to hear too, is like literally like you have to make something new that is like there's no other, it's just not good enough. It's not like, oh, take this and tweak it and change it or something. It's like, oh, you actually haven't came up with something good enough yet.
Dude, that Sega routine. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I-Dee was saying about how Vekked, is the perfect intersection of like old school, OG turntablists respecting your craft, but also the next generation that are all like internet nerds. Like they also find they can identify with it. Like that Sega routine, I have showed to like 9-year-old kids that don't know anything about anything on this planet, and they're like, "Whoa, that's so cool, Mom! I want to do that. Can you buy me a
Boom shakalaka."
But also
Nostalgia is real.
that same year that Vekked won, and this is what the up-and-coming DJs really, really have to understand. It's not about the titles. It's not about the championships or anything like that. That was the year that Vekked became a legend. And why? Because
Legendary.
it's routine. Oh, you know Vekked? Yeah, I know that Sega routine. You know, you want you as a DJ to be, as a turntablist, to be associated with a body of work and a routine. And you can be a 5-time U.S. champion. If no one remembers your routines, then you're just going to come and go. You know, and the routines, you know, really stand the test of time. And I think if with the practice room or whatever it is, if you go in and just be like, okay, you can have a 6-minute set, but that 90 seconds, like I want everyone to, at the very least, that 90 seconds, this routine, I want people to remember this. And it's like, so you'll go up there with a 8-track, Get Your Freak On, Vekked with the Sega, you know, and so on and so on and so on. So I think that's going back
with the Holy Grail. I-Dee with the Holy Grail.
Holy Grail. Real quick, guys, I hate to interrupt this conversation, but we're almost done with this episode. But first, we have to do one more segment before we close out the show. We do have students tuning in to this podcast, so we always like to teach them a few tips and tricks to this DJ game. So we're going to end off the show with DJ Sean J's Tech Tip of the Week. So take it away, Sean.
Yeah. All right, so this week I'm going to be going over different ways that you can organize your file metadata in your Serato library, as well as a tool and some techniques you can use outside of your Serato library. So for those of you listening on the audio-only version of this after the fact, of course, you can check out the video version of this. I'm going to do a quick screen share over on my side. That way y'all can see my screen. But I'm going to be using my Serato library as the example of what you can do to change the way that you organize things in the context of DMC. So let's take a look at this right here. Can everybody see my screen all right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So we've got this crate right here. I've got a bunch of songs on my Serato library, and these are songs that are organized only by the album column. So you see all these column headings across the top. We're familiar with BPM or beats per minute that we use as DJs to organize things from slowest to fastest or whatever organizational structure you want to start with. But all of these songs just happen to be songs that don't have any other helpful tags for me. And in the heat of a battle, in the moment of a DJ set, regardless of the context, what is important is shaving off those little seconds of getting from song to song or routine to routine. So as you're looking at your tracks, you can use these headings to add in information about songs that you want to access quickly. For example, I know that this first song on this list, called Last Goodbye, is a drum and bass song. So I can go in here and type in the comment section. By double-clicking, you get the little cursor icon, D and B. So if I wanted to search for that really, really quickly, I can go up to the search bar, type in D and B, and then only that song will come up. So
Dave and Buster's.
D and B, Dave and Buster's, drum and bass, whatever works for you. So this is where this gets really useful. Inside of Serato, you can do a lot of other things while you're selecting multiple tracks. I know that this song and this song and this song are all hip-hop songs. So if I select all these in a group, I can go over to my genre tag, and I created my own tags. That way I can quickly search for things and not have to remember the name of the song. I just need to know these are all within the same genre. They might work together well in the same set. So I type in period as the note to myself that this is something I put in the metadata of this song myself. HH for hip-hop, enter. Gives you the prompt, do you want to edit 3 songs at once? Really quick, really simple. So you can edit things in Serato. You can use any information in any of these columns to organize your songs or quickly search. If I want to find my hip-hop songs, type period HH, and I just get those 3. I can go through and keep it moving real quickly, save off those seconds. Now, let's say, if I jump to this next crate down, let's say I've got these same songs, and I ripped them from vinyl. So as I name the files is how they're going to show up in my Serato library. Now this, if I Alt-Tab over, this app here, Meta, is another really, really helpful tool that I use in these specific situations. I'm going to click and drag these tracks so they show up in Meta. And Meta is a program that allows you to do the same kind of bulk editing that you can do in Serato, except you've got the ability to automate some of this stuff. Because the file names have the only information that I can use, I don't have to type in the edits in the file name. So I'm going to use this feature right here, and Meta has a lot of other additional features, but convert to tags saves me a lot of time. I hit convert to tags, I get this pop-up window that says, look at the file name, take the first section as the artist, put a space, that little dash is the separator. The second set of words after the dash is the track title, hit convert, all that stuff is there for you. And so now if I go back to Serato, I can rescan these ID3 tags, and everything's updated. So you can do the same thing in Serato or out of Serato. I personally like to use Meta when I'm doing a lot of bulk editing because I can go through those same processes much, much faster. And that's the tech tip for the week. Inside of Serato, outside of Serato, you can do a lot of automation, a lot of stuff really quickly. And your imagination is basically the only limit you got to work with. So
awesome, man.
Got this one.
Power up, bro. That was fire.
Andre for the tech tip of the week.
Very dope. Thank you.
That's going to do it for us for now for part 1 of this episode. We'll be back next week with part 2 along with the same group of guys here on this panel next Monday at 9 p.m. East Coast time and continue the conversation with them about the upcoming DMC battle season and possibly the future of DJ battles in light of it now being online and possibly live streaming. But we had so much fun with last week's Unpopular Opinion segment, so we decided to do another edition of it for next Monday, so don't miss out on that. If you missed the show, you can watch the replay of any of our past shows on Facebook.com/BeatRefinery or YouTube.com/BeatRefinery. If you prefer to listen to the audio side of things, this episode will be uploaded this Thursday to Apple, Spotify, Mixcloud, wherever you consume and listen to all things podcast. So be sure to subscribe, comment, rate us. We always appreciate the love and support from all of you guys. Again, this show is brought to you by Beat Refinery DJ School at Bach to Rock. Learn how to mix, scratch, and make music by visiting beatrefinery.com. Again, we have school locations across the country. Thank you once again to everybody for tuning in and for supporting us with this show. We'll see you guys next week. Everybody say peace.
Art, you suck. Yeah.
DMC! And I want the world and the cameras to hear. Who's the heavyweight champion of the world? 3, 2, 1, go!
Number one of my class.
Every second, every minute, put your hands up.
I'm just the best.
Stand up. Yeah, we give you much more.